lanzamiento, aquí viene un batazo de Mundito entre right center field, la bola pica, se extiende, viene anotando Scott, empata el juego, también manda para la bola Turner anota y los Phillies se van arriba. Se prepara, Mundito en segunda, el lanzamiento, batazo profundo para el center field, la bola se va, Schwarber Bob, ¡campanazo! Aquí viene el lanzamiento, swing y lo ponchó. Ponche de Alvarado, amigos. Hello. Welcome to the second season of Phillies Weekly Review. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. The whole idea of this session that we would be doing most Sunday nights when the Phillies are not playing on a Sunday night is to basically bring to you kind of the latest news, the latest trends, talk about and analyze where the Phillies are in the season. I mean, this is going to be an exciting season, just like the last three. I mean, it's been an incredible ride the Phillies has had. And look, we have a packed program today. We have some great guests, and we're looking forward to getting your comments. So we welcome each one of your comments. We are on X, we are on Instagram, and we are on Facebook. Next week, we're going to be integrating YouTube, and the whole idea is to come to you every week and bring you the latest on the Fightin Phils. So with that said, let me bring to our guests today. My co-host still hasn't arrived. Jeff Kerr has not arrived yet from the stadium, so he will join us shortly. But we can bring both our two wonderful guests. So Tim and John, welcome to Phillies Weekly once again. It is a pleasure to have you here, guys.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, great to be here. This is
what
great.
What a season, guys. What a start of the season, huh? 7-2, and the team is playing. I don't know if the word all cylinders is a good word, but at least every game is something a little bit different. I mean, the starting pitching has consistently been there, but relief pitching, I mean, one day we do a great job, and with the pen we're hitting, another time our relief pitching comes. Why don't we start? Just give me your overall observations where you see the season. How? I mean, after this first 9 games, where do you see the Phils right now?
I see a lot of the same things I've seen the last few years. This is a team that when they're hitting home runs is really good. They didn't hit a lot of home runs over the weekend, though, and they managed to win 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. But, yeah, the biggest thing, the biggest questions that we had coming into the season, what will you get out of some of the left-handed hitters like Stott, Marsh, Max Kepler, still exist. And then the questions about who is going to step up in the bullpen. Jose Alvarado has been excellent to this point. Matt Strahm is still working his way back from the shoulder issue that he dealt with late in spring training, but he looked good today. Orion Kerkering's been great. But outside of that, the Phillies really seem to be thin in the bullpen. So those are kind of my takeaways. Look, they're 7-2. That's a great spot to be in after 9 games. But there's things that need to change if they're going to beat the Dodgers in a series in October.
Yeah, I think that this was a very interesting series. I mean, pitching dominated. I mean, the way what Luzardo did on Friday was truly special. Hopefully we can get him. I mean, if he's healthy, he's capable of doing some very, very good things. So hopefully we can get him there. And, I mean, look, today was, I mean, up and down. I mean, it was a crazy game. And at the end, I mean, Strahm, I thought it was huge. And what Strahm and Alvarado did at the end, that basis took us to this great victory. I mean, it was, we had to grind it and we made it happen. So I don't know, John, your observations of the season so far, 7-2. We're 1 game behind the Dodgers. How about that?
I mean, 7-2, and I think you're right, Oscar, that they're not really firing on all cylinders yet, and yet they're still 7-2. Yet they still just took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. So I mean, you've got to feel good about that. The lineup, you know, everyone's doing about what you'd expect. I think they've been more patient. I think it's showing up in walks. You know, and you look at it, it's a balanced team. If you look at their overall offensive stats, they're top 5 OPS. Mm-hmm. If you look at the pitching side, they're top 5 WHIP, top 10-ish ERA. And that's mostly on the starters, but the bullpen, Romano aside, you feel pretty good about it. You feel good about Alvarado. You feel good about Strom. I think I'm a little more bullish on the bullpen maybe than Tim is. I think, it's tough to get all of them going at once, but if you have a few of those guys that you can depend on,
we'll go into details. I mean, when we start analyzing where the bullpen is and where hitting is in general, there it is. There is the man, Jeff Kerr.
Hey.
By the way, Jeff, what was your speed limit in 476?
Well, on 476, it was 10 miles per hour. I can't say what it was on 422.
422, you were full speed. No, it's great to have you here. Jeff, again, coming for the second year. I mean, we're in this together, brother. I mean, it's we're ready for this wonderful ride. If it is anything of what we experienced this weekend, it's going to be unbelievable. What an unbelievable year.
I just keep going back to what Nick Castellano said today. We think we're a good team. We want to show we're a good team, but we're not going to back down from anybody. And
Hey, Tim, by the end of the year, we're going to make sure that he says Castellanos. Castellanos.
No,
that's Italian.
What I actually want is for Nick Castellanos to announce this season that actually the only person who's ever said his name correctly is Jeff.
It's Jeff. Castellanos. Mangia la pasta.
He'll never admit that.
Hey, so let's start. Look, the way I think we should do this program, thinking about it, I'll talk about it with Jeff, with Tim, and with John. It's just basically throw a number of questions out there and just get everybody's perspective, and we'll go at it. I mean, we can go into some stats and we can bring them as we go throughout the discussion. But the first question that I have is, what has surprised you so far this season? Let's start with you, John.
I think the discipline at the plate, walks for strikeouts, a ton of walks today, a ton of walks generally. I don't think that's something we all saw coming, especially after opening day and the 19 strikeouts. And I know there were extraneous factors there, the shadows and whatnot. But you've got to be pleased at the approach these guys are taking to be patient. Take those walks when Glasnow is melting down out there on the mound.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been a surprise.
How about you, Tim? What are your thoughts in terms of what has surprised you so far this year?
Yeah, I would say what surprised me to this point is that you've had Jordan Romano kind of cough up at least 2 games. He didn't quite on Friday because you had to strike him out, throw him out to end the game. But he struggled on opening day, he struggled on Friday, and then he struggled today. And you managed to come out and win all 3 of those, 2 of them against the defending World Series champion. So that's not sustainable. But if you had told me how he performed in 2 out of 3 appearances this weekend, I would have thought maybe the Phillies got swept.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, Romano has been, Jeff, do you want to bring what Topper said this evening regarding his velocity? And there's some concerns, and I think you guys talked to Romano after the game today. Just bring the perspective, and then we'll talk about it.
I didn't talk to Romano specifically, but his velocity is down. I think it's Tim, you would know this better than I would.
But Topper said it. I mean, when we were at the press conference, Topper did mention that his velocity was down.
Yeah, and I talked to Romano after the game. So after Jeff goes, I can kind of give some insight on that.
Yeah, I talked to Kirkering about his role after the game. So, Tim, if you want to go ahead, all you.
Well, I would just say Romano is kind of searching right now. It's tough especially when you're on a new team and you're trying to make a good first impression. You're a guy that's had success. He's frustrated. He's a very friendly Canadian guy. Like he's answering the tough questions. What I would say is right now they're searching for what the issue is. Could it be dead arm potentially? Maybe. There isn't an issue in terms of health. He feels good. All the reports are good. At least that's what they all said after the game today. So I think it's something where they need to get the velocity back up, and maybe some of that is dead arm. Maybe some of that is just you're early in the season. They need to figure it out, though. He said he's going to kind of dive into the video after he finished speaking with us. So they're committed to trying to find what's right. But this is one of the risks you take in signing a guy who's coming off of the season where he missed half the year with elbow inflammation is that either he comes back and immediately gets hurt again, that hasn't happened, or that he comes back and he's just not the same guy. And maybe he will be at some point this season, but to this point, you have not gotten the Jordan Romano that saved 95 games from 21 to 23.
I mean, to me, it's Mundito Sosa. I mean, what this guy is doing right now, he's carrying this team. I mean, it's like both in terms of energy, in terms of excitement. I mean, the guy has what? Today was the 5th game in a row where he starts, where he has multiple hits. I mean, he basically decided the games against the Rockies when we were down 1-0. The guy went in and got that double. I mean, the guy has been complete. I mean, he's been amazing. I mean, I love the energy that he has brought to this team. And look, the question to Tupper in the post game is, what are you going to do for this guy to be in your lineup every day? Because he needs to be in the lineup right now because he's the guy, he's the spark plug. So definitely that is the case.
Yeah, I agree, Oscar. And Tim and I were talking to Sosa Saturday about the whole center field thing, and Topper was pretty adamant today. Like, this is a possibility. Like, it's more than a possibility. Like, if they want to get him in the lineup, if they want to play him in center field, looks like they're going to do it.
Well, I think what's going to happen, based off of what Rob Thompson said Tuesday, I think what will happen on Tuesday, based off of what Rob Thompson said yesterday, is Sosa will be in the lineup Tuesday. It's just a matter of whether it's what position it's at. You're facing Chris Sale, who is probably the toughest pitcher for lefties to face in baseball.
Absolutely.
So you're going to do your best, but you have so few options on the bench that are right-handed right now that you're going to have one of those 3 guys in there of Marsh, Kepler, and Stott. I think what might happen is Stott is in at second base, Johan Rojas plays center field, and we see Edmundo Sosa in left field on Tuesday.
Even though he told me yesterday, and I asked him this question, and I said, "What do you prefer to play in, left or center?" And he said center field because I can see anything, and the ball doesn't slice as much. So that was an interesting comment that he said, and he looked good in center field. But we all have seen enough games, excuse me, on Mundito in the outfield that we know, excuse me, we know he's not the best outfielder out there. So, I mean, that's kind of the reality.
Well, the reality.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was just going to say it's not a good place to make your outfield debut starting out. Atlanta's a big outfield at Truist Park. The one plus of that is I think Johan Rojas will be in center field. And no disrespect to Brandon Marsh, who made an amazing play today. Johan Rojas defensively is the best probably player on the team, certainly center fielder. So he can help cover up some ground. There are going to be plays if they give him runway in the outfield where it doesn't look good. That's just the reality of having a guy that's an infielder go to the outfield. It's Can he make the adjustments? And I think mentally you've seen he's kind of one of those guys you throw him anywhere and he figures it out.
I think the one thing, I mean, Nick Picon, which is kind of a part of the family, and we'll have him on the show a number of times this year, brings a very, very valid point around my biggest surprise has been the defense. I mean, what Alec Bohm and Trey Turner have done so far. I mean, and let me tell you, I was there in spring training and I saw Trey Turner practice every single morning for hours with Dickerson getting ready at shortstop because he knows he needed to improve his defense. And we've seen some of that, but I've been super impressed with Alec Bohm and his defense on third. Yesterday, he looked like Brooke Robinson. I won't get carried away. Come on.
And look, Rob Thompson said today in pregame, like, Bohm stayed in the lineup because of his defense. It's he's been playing good defense, and it's hard to ignore that. So I would agree. I think that's a big surprise, and I never really got the. I still say Max Kepler not really hitting yet. Brandon Marsh not really hitting yet. Bryson Stott not really hitting. JT had a good night the other night, but this offense has not really been hitting outside Kyle Schwarber what we're capable of seeing, and they're 7-2.
Yeah, they're 7-2, and look, starting pitching without a doubt has been huge. I mean, Wheeler has been pitching lights out. What Luzardo did against the Dodgers, I mean, he struck out third Philly in the history of the team that in 2 games starting his career he gets 19 strikeouts. I mean, I won't say Velasquez, but I said Velasquez and Bunning is the other guy. So that's
one of those.
Look
one of those
at
two's
Foley's
in the Hall
face.
of
I mean,
Fame.
what was that? Tim?
But one of those two's in the Hall of Fame. So
Yeah, one of those two is in the Hall of
That's
Fame. How about that?
not a bad percentage.
Yeah, we won't tell that to Luzardo, by the way. So look, the pitching. I mean, starting pitching has been incredible. I mean, I don't think Christopher has pitched to the level that I expected him to do. It's up to me. It might be weather related. I mean, remember where this guy's come from, right? He lives in La Romana, which is like Aruba, or I mean, a beautiful beach with palm trees and all that. I mean, you come here to the cold and the rainy weather we had today, and Glasnow basically gave this game up. I mean, Glasnow allowing four base on balls, and then coming in Castellanos with, I don't know if that's the biggest hit he's ever had with the Phillies, but it's one of the biggest.
That's his first grand slam with the Phillies.
Yeah, he has 8 grand slams, 4 of them on the first pitch, and it was an 89-mile-an-hour fastball by Vesia.
As Tim knows, Nick Castellanos post-game interviews are always interesting. And he was very interesting today. Like Scott Grayson and I were, we were talking about this during the game, and we asked him about Vesia, taking his time, rubbing the dirt, last time rubbing the dirt. Nick pretends like, oh, I didn't even notice that. I just saw the first pitch, and, it was right in my wheelhouse, and I hit it. And we're like, oh, okay, like, it's, we're just trying to get something out of him. Like, so you didn't notice that? He said, not till you guys pretty much admitted it. But, you mentioned Christopher Sanchez, Oscar. Castellanos said, okay, yeah, he gave up the home runs, but outside Teoscar Hernandez, if it wasn't for him, he probably pitches a shutout. And, I kind of nod my head at that.
Outside of Teoscar Hernandez, 2 home runs and a double. I mean, he basically had his number. But, hey, let's give him credit. He struck out Ohtani 3 times, and he struck out Mookie Betts 2 times. I mean, I'm telling you, that is a season, a dream season for any pitcher capable of doing that to those two guys. And Ohtani was, I think, 1 for 11 in the entire series.
Yeah, they really held Ohtani in check, and I did think Sanchez pitched well today. It may not show up in the runs allowed, but if you look at the other numbers, I think it was 9 strikeouts.
He had 9 strikeouts, 1 base on balls, but I mean, it's Teoscar Hernandez what he did to him.
Yeah, and that's all I got to. I mean, at a certain point, we might have to start asking: are the Phillies are they throwing too many strikes? Because they're getting all these strikeouts, they're not walking anybody. And the way teams are getting to them is the long ball.
No, I think that's a good point, John. And I think particularly with Aaron Nola, that is sometimes his problem, where guys are hunting that first pitch. He said it post game yesterday. 3 out of the 4 home runs he's given up are first pitch. And Christopher Sanchez last year had one of the lowest home runs per 9 he gave up 11 home runs the whole season. He's given up 4, I believe, through his first couple starts. So it's just something to watch, because where he was so good last year was at limiting the home runs.
Tim, you would know this. The Will Smith ball off Kirkering that hit the fence, was that the first non-home run the Phillies have given up?
The Phillies starters have given up. I believe it was.
The first round, yeah.
Anthony Sanfilippo had a great stat about that Friday that he pointed out to me, that all their runs that the starters have given up, which obviously wasn't many. I mean, Aaron Nola has given up. He hasn't been great the first 2, but everybody else, including Taijuan Walker, has been really good. So, I believe that was.
That's crazy to think, like, or it just shows you like how good the starting pitching has been these first 9 games.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we're talking about, there's issues in the lineup, there's issues in the bullpen. Like, if you heard that and asked someone to predict what the record was after 11, you'd be like, I don't know, 5-6, 4-7, and they're 7-2. So by 11, I meant 9. It's been a long day.
Again, to everyone is welcome to send us your comments and your observations. I mean, the whole idea is to make it as interactive as possible. Ross asked the question, who would Weston Wilson take the spot off? And I think it's too early. I mean, I think Weston needs to go to AAA and, I mean, get his at-bats and prove that he's up to the par, and then we can talk after that. I mean,
well, he can be on a rehab assignment for up to 20 days. So the Phillies can stretch this out. He does have an option, so he can go to AAA. Cody Clemens cannot without passing through waivers. I think they'd like to keep Cody Clemens, but you've seen early on, there's just not a ton of, like, on this team, he's kind of an awkward fit because you have so many other left-handed hitters. So unless you're like decide to send Johan Rojas down or someone else, it may or somebody gets hurt, it may ultimately come down to whether you'd rather have Cody Clemens on the roster and option Weston Wilson, or whether you bring Weston Wilson up and risk losing Cody Clemens.
And that's another thing. And if you send Johan Rojas down, Justin Crawford's in center field now. So what do you do with him if you do send him down?
It's a good question. I have that same question about what you do with Justin Crawford if you bring him up.
I know what I would do.
Yeah.
What would you do?
He'd be playing.
Bring up Rincones. That's the guy we need to bring up.
No, I mean, I don't know. I do think it's going to be hard for the Phillies to hold on to Cody Clemens all year long. These things, sometimes they have a way of working themselves out that maybe Wilson is ready and somebody else is banged up. But for the most part, it's hard to see how Clemens is going to fit on this roster all year long. And the organization would hate to lose him.
Yeah. He hardly has played so far.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing. He hasn't really played. At a certain point, if he can't get on the field, what are you going to do?
Right, and he's a guy that it's kind of bad luck for him. He can't play shortstop. That works against him a little. But he can play second, third, first, and left field, I think. Although I don't think the Phillies think he's great in left field, but he can play left field. Like on a lot of teams, that'd be your best utility guy, but the Phillies have Edmundo Sosa, who, like, when are you going to start Clemens at second or third and not just start Sosa there? And I also think, like, in old school NL baseball, Cody Clemens would have had a lot of value coming up as a pinch hitter. You don't pinch hit nearly as frequently as you did back then. And on this team, you don't pinch hit ever really with a left-handed hitter.
No.
Anybody want to take a guess how many at-bats Cody Clemens has this year?
3.
5.
Lower. 1.
Look who you're joining.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Surprise.
How's it going?
What's going on?
What's going on, Tyler?
Just enjoying another Phillies win.
That's good. Beautiful. That's great to have you here, brother. So let's continue. Let's continue the dialogue here. So the next question that I had here was around what are your views of the Phillies bullpen in general? Let's start with Jeff. You wanted to talk about Kerkering. I mean, somebody mentioned here Phillies and Eagles throwback talked about Kerkering being a closer.
Yeah, it seems like the high leverage situations for Kerkering are coming more frequently. And, I was talking to him a little bit after the game today just about, him when he was coming into the game. And he was expecting to come in the 7th. He wasn't sure if it was going to be him or, Romano. And he said, I took my jacket off and they called Romano. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, I guess I'm pitching later in the game. And, so it's kind of, but then, Rob says after the game, basically admitted, he's in for higher leverage situations. And it was either going to be him or Alvarado in the 9th. They were saving him for that situation. So I was curious to see if Romano would have gotten those outs, how it would have played out.
I mean, if you ask me, to me, the biggest concern so far this year is the bullpen. I mean, if Romano cannot be up to par, you're missing 2, right? Because we lost Hoffman and Esteves. And if Romano cannot be the part, I mean, you already had Kerkering. And I know Kerkering is stepping up. I mean, they definitely want Kerkering to take over what Hoffman was last year, taking an 8th or a 9th inning or a 7th inning, being more flexible with him. And Alvarado is very unique. I mean, he's a guy, to me, if you ask me, in a perfect world, Alvarado is the perfect 7th or 8th guy to bring against the heart of the lineup. I mean, that guy with his cutter and with sinker is ideal. And now adding kind of his 4-seam fastball and the curve. I mean, that guy is filthy. And he was throwing strike. But if you overused him, I mean, you're not going to get the same guy. I mean, he was not the same guy the second day you brought him the other day against the Rockies than he was the first day, and he ended up throwing 38 pitches. So that's we need to be very, very careful with that arm. And I mean, today was perfect, right? And he did what he normally does. But it's very, very important. His control to me is the key for his success. And then you need to have him at the right time. So I think using him in a 7th or 8th high leverage inning is the ideal world for him. And he actually told me that during spring training. I asked him, what's your preference? And he said, look, what I want is a set role that I know exactly where I am. I mean, but they're using him wherever they absolutely need him because he's our best reliever. I mean, potentially.
No, I don't think he's going to get his wish in terms of a set role. I think they're going to use him sometimes 7th inning, 8th inning, and sometimes he's going to be closing out the game. And, in an ideal world, yeah, you've got somebody who's your closer, no matter what, right-handed, left-handed, doesn't matter. He's coming in and lock down the 9th. Then you can bring in Alvarado earlier, Kirkering earlier. But it just doesn't feel like it's going to work out that way. And they're going to continue to do this mix and match thing that they like. I will say I feel pretty good about the bullpen, the high leverage arms in the bullpen from the left-handed side between Alvarado and Strahm look good today. As long as Strahm's healthy, you feel good about those two. But then you just need 2 right-handers. And, it's a lot of pressure on Kirkering. But he seems like he might be able to handle it. Let's find out now earlier in the season. Yeah. And then if the Romano experiment doesn't work out, I hope it does. I would give him a little more time to get healthy, see if his velo comes back. But if that doesn't work out, then you look at getting somebody at the deadline, and a right-handed arm for the bullpen isn't a tall task at the trade line if we want to look ahead that far. But for now, I think they're still sort of assessing what they've got. Wouldn't give up on Romano completely yet after 1 week of baseball. Yeah. Feel pretty good about that. And then then you've got guys, the collection of middle relievers that maybe one of them emerges and can be used in a little bit more high leverage situations.
So after the game, our starters are 4-2 and 2.87 ERA. We are 6 in the MLB. Number 1 is the Mets at 2.40, followed by Colorado. Believe it or not, they absolutely did a job against our hitting. At 261, the Rangers at 268, and the Dodgers at 276. Tampa at 282, and the Phillies are at 287. That's our starters ERA. And then I wanted to look at our relievers now that we're talking about relievers. And our reliever ERA is, I'm doing this here 1 second. We're 18th in ERA among a relief pitching at 390. So, I mean, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of inconsistency, and particularly centers on Romano. Tim, you want to talk about Joe Ross and what we were talking about a few minutes ago? I think Joe Ross they might want to bring Joe Ross to a higher level. I know they've been using him multi-innings, and that was kind of their initial idea, but maybe he plays a role up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was available today after pitching 2 innings yesterday, but he's also not really stretched out to be that long man. So I do think you're looking at him potentially going into a higher leverage role. I would say, though, and Rob Thompson's been pretty clear about this since he's been on the team, I think that the next guy up in that high leverage role, because I wouldn't be surprised if you get a situation now where Jordan Romano is pitching maybe in the 6th or some lower leverage spots to kind of build his confidence back up. But the guy that Rob Thompson has consistently talked about is Jose Ruiz. I think Jose Ruiz is the guy that they want to emerge as that next high leverage guy in the bullpen. Obviously, John is right. You don't want to give up on Romano after a week. He's making $8.5 million. You got to see if you can try and figure that out. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, you can't be in a situation where the only high leverage guys you trust are Alvarado, Kirkering, and Strahm. I mean, imagine if one goes down with an injury, where you would be. And you don't want to overuse these guys. Jose Alvarado 2 years ago was on the IL twice with elbow problems. Matt Strahm was banged up in camp. It's just, you got to be careful, especially early in the season when you're building up, particularly with Alvarado and Kirkering, who are high 90s guys, not to use guys too frequently. Like you said, Oscar, we saw Alvarado 3 out of 4 days, and the first 2 outings, he was amazing. That 4th day, the day game against the Rockies, though, he just kind of looked out of gas. and then pitched 35 pitches, and you didn't have him for the first 2 games of the Dodgers series. So you have an off day tomorrow, but I think if you have a 6-game road trip, you maybe want to use him 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That was my biggest fear with Kerkering in the 2023 playoffs. Like, he pitched a ton in the minors because he was always using those high leverage situations, just going up the ranks, quickly moving up. And then he comes up to the Phillies, and they're putting him in situations where the guy's just doomed to fail at that point. And, his arm was gassed at the end of that 23 season. And, oh, by the way, he was barely on the major league team for a week. So, yeah, I agree with you, Tim. You got to worry about him. You got to worry about Alvarado there. You don't want to lose these guys. They're too big of a piece to actually not have in October.
Tyler, you had some stats that you wanted to share with us from Phillies tailgate?
Yeah, of course. So going back to the starters, we have 199 batting average against in baseball. We're the second lowest to the Astros for it. We have the lowest whip for starters of 0.92, the most strikeouts from starters of 67, and the least amount of walks for 11 for starters. So things have been going great with starters. I believe it was mentioned earlier here too that the first runs today given up by starters that weren't home runs were today, which is incredible that that's even possible. And when it comes to regular season wins at home, since 2024, the Phillies are number 1. We have 60 wins. Dodgers have 58. Brewers have 53.
So, I mean, look, it's called Wheeler. It's called Nola. And by the way, I mean, I know that people are mad at Nola and we've been hearing stuff here. And look, let's calm down, guys. I mean, the weather will get warmer and Nola will be Aaron Nola. I mean, one of the beauties of Aaron is his ability to eat innings. I mean, not a lot of teams have that luxury. And look, he knows better than anybody that he needs to try to manage the home run ball. He allowed 30 last year. I don't know how many he has so far. 4?
Yeah, he's got 4 so far. I mean, that's if there's any complaint about the starting pitching, I guess it's just that Nola and Sanchez have given up home runs early on. I
trust Nola. I trust Nola. We just look. He's proven it to us over and over again what he's capable of doing. I mean, he's a tremendous 2 or 3 starter. I mean, in any team. I mean, even the Dodgers, whatever. I mean, so let's just be patient with him, and he'll turn it around.
Absolutely. He's going to have those games where he gives up the long balls, but then he's also going to have games where he comes out and he's dominant. And, we talk about preserving the health of the high leverage relievers in the back of the bullpen. One of the best ways to do that is to have starting pitchers that go out and eat a ton of innings. And Nola's proven over the last several years that he's, right at the very top of guys that are able to do that.
You're at the point now where, not that Nola's on a 7-year deal, like you want him to pitch like an ace, but also if he pitches like a number 3, that's not like the worst thing in the world when you have Zach Wheeler, who's maybe the best pitcher in baseball, and then after him you have Jesus Luzardo, who's looked great. You have Christopher Sanchez, who was an all-star last year, and then looming, you have Andrew Painter, who's doing a rehab, or not a rehab, but an assignment this week, and then Ranger Suarez, who's going to probably do a sim game this week. So you're in a good position with your starting rotation. The best value Aaron Nola has to you is eating those innings. You want him to be better, make no mistake. But even in years where he's been kind of off, he's still pitched 180-plus innings. That is huge. The Dodgers would kill to have a guy like that. Blake Snell just went on the IL today. Like, it's great. People made so much about them having 9 starters. Well, they need 9 starters because they might not have one guy that pitches 140 innings this year.
Yeah, last year when they faced the Phillies, like I'm like, okay, like who's starting for this team? It just seemed like that was a big, and that's why I was hoping the Phillies would play the Dodgers in the NLCS last year, because the Dodgers had to go through bullpen game after bullpen game last year. That was an opportunity for the Phillies to get them if they would have faced them.
Let's go to the next question, guys, which I think it'll get interesting because we'll start talking a little bit about hitting. I mean, I know we talked about enough about the bullpen, but I mean, what are our biggest concerns? I mean, with the team so far. I mean, when you look at areas of concerns moving forward, I mean, hitting with runners in a scoring position, I was trying to see where we were ranked. And I think OPS is probably the best indicator of it. We're third in MLB. Our OPS with runners in the scoring position. So explain that one to me.
Well, I think they've done a good job at not chasing this year. They've done a good job at working counts. Kyle Schwarber has been amazing and is going to make it very difficult on the Phillies not to bring him back. Bryce Harper has largely been good. I still, if you're talking about areas where you're maybe concerned, it's like I said, you have a few guys on this team that are kind of in make or break years. I mean, Kepler, just by definition of being in a 1-year deal, is in a make or break year. And then Stott, Bowman, Marsh, and you're still like nothing you've seen through the first 9 games gives you a clear picture of, oh, this guy is scalding hot or terrible through the first 9 games. You're still kind of uncertain with that group.
Yeah, I talked to Paco Figueroa this week about the whole idea of being more disciplined at the plate. I know he's not Kevin Long, but he's connected to all the players. I mean, with everything that he does. And he basically told me, look, what Harper stated during the spring training, we are just going to be more patient, and the results are here. I mean, after 9 games, we're number 5. Have the 5th fewest strikeouts in all of baseball. The fewest strikeout are the San Diego Padres, and we have the fewest strikeout in all of baseball. So, by the way, I love how
that's after 19 in game 1.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and including the 19 because of the shadows. And we know we need to take that game away. Imagine that. So
you take that away. Wow.
The lowest is the San Diego Padres at 63, and the Phillies are at 68. So I mean that is great to hear in terms of discipline. And then we have the 4th highest base on balls in all of baseball at 43 base on balls. Chicago, which has more games, they have 12 games. We only have 9. They have 66, but we're 4th in baseball. So look, talking about play discipline is a priority, and you're beginning to see that. Even though I do believe that we're not hitting enough today, but look, I know Stott had not had a great start, but that hit he got today was huge.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Oscar, because like that's one of my biggest concerns. Stott and Marsh specifically against left-handed pitching, but look, that pitch Stott hit today, that was a tough pitch to hit. He got it right where he needed to. It was a big hit. It set up, what was the winning run. But that's what they need to see out Stott. And, I was talking today with a couple people about Stott. And look, there is one thing he does really well, and that's take pitches and work the count. And even when this team is getting, happy with swinging that first pitches, and again, yesterday was a misnomer. They haven't been doing that. They've been taking a lot of pitches, but everybody's been focusing on yesterday. Stott was the one kind of grinding out at bats, and he was doing it today. And I'm glad you mentioned like everybody getting on base, Oscar, because going into the day, they were 3rd in on base percentage. That's going to go up.
Yeah, and if the walks come first, then they have to start throwing. If they can keep that patience, other teams have to start throwing strikes, and I think that's when you'll see the hits, and that's when you'll see the power. But it's just a matter of just sticking with the approach. If you're not getting pitches to hit, take your walks, and we saw it today in the beginning.
We're 6 in a slugging in MLB. So
it's weird to see this team with only 9 home runs so far, and Schwarber's got 4.
It is. It's like they don't want to see the Xfinity home run takeover.
Now, I'll ask you this question in terms of concern.
I have a good.
Go ahead, Tyler.
So we've also only hit 2 home runs against starters this year.
That's where I was going to go. That's exactly where I was going to go. We did not hit the national starters. We did not hit. We're not hitting starters. We killed the Nationals bullpen and the Rockies bullpen, which we know they're not very good. But what's going on with the starters? We couldn't hit. We haven't hit anybody. To be honest with you, we did not hit Sasaki yesterday. Sasaki came, by the way, Sasaki had an issue in terms of throwing strikes coming into the game, and they lowered the number of pitches that he threw. He only threw fastballs, splitters, and a changeup. That's how he pitched yesterday. So
yeah, his third pitch he only threw like 4 or 5 times. He barely threw it.
splitters and fastballs. And I don't think yesterday we were as disciplined as we should have been. I mean, we should have been against Sasaki.
Well, I think both of those guys, like Yamamoto pitched last year, but not like an insane amount. And that was his rookie year. And then this is Sasaki's rookie year. There's a reason both these guys were so coveted. I know Sasaki had started slow, but like they're really good arms. People don't want to hear it, but opening day, like go out, go stand at home plate and see how well you can see the baseball when the shadows are that bad. It's just reality. 4:00 games, I like them, but they're not good if you're a hitter. So I throw some of those out. It's cold weather, all that, but they absolutely do need to start hitting starters better. Like you need to win some games 10-1, or something like that. It can't be every game is like a 2-run game late where you have to use Alvarado and Kirkring. You need some games where you can use Tanner Banks, Jose Ruiz, some of the other guys in your bullpen. That's a way to do that, and I think they do on this road trip, especially when you have a chance to, I don't want to say step on the throats of the Braves, but really put some distance between you and the Braves. Getting out to some early leads would be huge.
By the way, Tim, I'm sure you looked at the April schedule today with the schedule magnet that we got.
Yeah.
But man, they really do have a tough stretch like this month.
The Phillies or the Braves?
Both of them.
Yeah, I mean, the Braves got the worst luck possible. That's why I kind of felt like coming into the season, the Braves are going to play the Phillies now. They've already played the Padres and the Dodgers. And obviously they don't yet. Strider, it sounds like, is imminent, his return, but Acuna's not back.
Acuna's not even playing the outfield, by the way.
Right. You need to have a cushion on the Braves. Like, if you're up 10 games at the end of April, that would be great. I don't know if that's realistic, but if you're up 6 or 7, like, you're in a good spot. You can't. If the Phillies are up 1 game on the Braves at the end of April, that's probably not a great sign.
Yeah, I mean the Mets are keeping up. I mean they're playing San Francisco. It's a team to watch out. They have come out faster than I mean I know the Padres started super fast and I think they lost a couple of games this weekend. But San Francisco, I mean, be careful with that team. They're kind of a sleeping giant. So we need to be careful with them. The daycare. Let's talk about the daycare for a couple minutes.
Are they the daycare anymore?
Yeah, no. Bryce Harper said no.
They what, kindergarten now or what?
First grade. First grade. They gotta go to school till 3 now.
Yeah, I mean,
are
they platoon players? Are they full-time players? I mean, they need to step it up. I mean,
it's a make or break year for Bryson Stott in many regards. Not that he'll be a major league starter somewhere, but and you're right, Trey Turner's looked good at shortstop, but there's still the possibility next year that Aiden Miller plays shortstop and Trey Turner maybe shifts to second. There's also the possibility Trey Turner stays at shortstop and Aiden Miller plays third base, in which case Alec Boehm would probably not be on the Phillies. And Brandon Marsh, like we've gone through this a few years now, I think he is a really good platoon player, and more pitchers are right-handed than left-handed, so it's okay if he is that. I would say the only issue on this team is you have a lot of guys that have traditionally swung and missed, and you'll put up with that for Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber, but they maybe need some more contact-oriented guys around that, and when things aren't going well for Brandon Marsh, he strikes out a lot. So I kind of feel like time might be ticking a bit on him with Justin Crawford looming and just so many left-handed hitters. Brandon Marsh is a good clubhouse guy. He's a very good left fielder, a solid center fielder. So I think all three of those guys are kind of in make or break situations this year, not for their major league careers, but for whether they're going to be with the Phillies.
Alec Boehm has the lowest OPS on the Phillies this year.
Oh yeah, he has been. What's it, Oscar, now? Like 490?
451.
Oh man,
He's got to see some. He's got to see some pitches. I know he likes to swing at every pitch that's in the zone, and
he's swinging at the first pitch.
Right. I mean, you can't see 5 pitches in 4 at bats. It's just, or the other way around, 4 pitches.
And
whatever.
it's something that happened after last year. The beginning of this year, he made it to the All-Star. He was playing at full cylinders, and suddenly he started. I seen that he's trying to pressure himself too much. That he's worried that he's never been a strikeout guy. I mean, so it's I mean, just go back to your basics. I mean, and I'm
He was
concerned.
visibly upset on Saturday after that game.
Yeah, which is really disconcerting because the one thing we heard about Bohm coming into the season and the reason there was hope that he was going to be a lot better this year, a lot of it hinged on all this talk about how he had matured a lot, that he was different, that he was going to be able to handle the disappointment and ride out the highs and lows. And we're starting to see some of those visible signs that hitting himself on the head with the bat kind of thing again. And
Look, the talent is there. You just need to bring it out.
But you can't be so live or die with every game. We think of Alec Bohm as young compared to a lot of the players on this team. Alec Bohm made his major league debut a week after I started covering the Phillies, and this is my 6th year. So he's a veteran. Like, this isn't somebody that's a rookie anymore. He knows that there's ebbs and flows of an MLB season, and it's good to care, but you have to kind of keep things in perspective sometimes. And I think the Phillies wanted to work with him. And there's no question he's a major leaguer. He has vastly improved his fielding. He's a hard worker. But, yeah, what has been said all along about just kind of keeping perspective. It's a 162-game season. You're going to have peaks and valleys, and kind of finding a way when you're in those valleys to not have them drag on as much, or not. Maybe you hit 200 or maybe hit 240 for a month instead of hitting 200. Like, I think there's ways that you can mitigate some of those slumps that he needs to do.
I think that's exactly right. And it's so critical because, Bryce Harper's going to be Bryce Harper. Schwarber's going to be Schwarber. Castellanos is going to be Castellanos. If you're looking for improvement from within, it is, the artist formerly known as the daycare guys, right? That they would make some improvement this year. And, you've seen some signs of it, that it's attitude, being a little more professional, no more of the water celebrations. They're going about their business, and you can see them maturing into veteran players. But the numbers have to come too. The attitude, the professionalism is great. Hopefully, Bohm can find ways to not put so much pressure on himself. But we need to see numbers also.
I mean, both March. I mean, he almost got it out of the park today. I thought that had a chance, but unfortunately, it didn't go. But I mean, March starts.
If it was warmer, I think it gets out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. Let's talk a couple more things before we talk about what's next. Number one, let's talk about Taijuan Walker, because I don't think we mentioned the name Taijuan Walker, and he was a huge surprise. The way he came out, 3 hits. I mean, that was huge. So Ranger is going to be coming. I mean, Ranger threw a bullpen yesterday. He's going to be coming shortly. The bigger question is, I think there are 2 steps here, right? The first one is Ranger coming back, and the next one is going to be Andrew Painter. So with the first one coming back, is if Taijuan Walker, I mean, is this for real, or 3 hits? I mean, it's the Rockies. So that's the other question. I mean, should we just give it a little bit more time, a couple more starts, and see where we end up? I mean, what are your thoughts on Taijuan?
I think we're going to need at least a handful more starts before anybody starts rebuilding their trust in Walker. Obviously, great start in game 1, but before we start talking about any plans to bump Ranger to the pen, really going to need to see Walker repeat this at least a few more times.
He's going to pitch Wednesday against Swellenbeck, which is a tremendous. I love Swellenbeck. I think he's going to be a tremendous pitcher. By the way,
some great matchups. We got Wheeler and Sale game 1, right?
Yeah, I can't wait for it. And I think the Braves didn't the Braves alter their rotation with their rain out today?
Yeah, because Chris Sale, I think initially was going to pitch today. The Phillies thought that, and ends up pitching Tuesday. So
yeah, Sale, Swellenbeck, and Smith, Schwaber is the last one. That one is going to be against Luzardo. So it's Wheeler, Walker, and Luzardo.
But to your question,
we have to
Oscar,
change that up.
Yeah, to your question, Oscar, I don't think Ranger Suarez is that close. Like, I think he's going to make multiple minor league starts, and he's not even at the point of, like, I think Ranger Suarez you're talking about in May. So, and maybe not even the very beginning of May. So,
but let me throw you a question on Ranger Suarez, Tim. Can you start building him up and bring him in the bullpen? This bullpen needs some support. I mean, can you bring him in the bullpen and then get him up to the point where you make a decision there? Do we truly need him? It's probably his last year with Phils. I mean, that's kind of the reality.
But no, I think I think there will be a point in the second half of this season, maybe closer to September than mid-July, where it's probably going to make the most sense to have Ranger Suarez pitch out of the bullpen. Not that dissimilar to what Zach Eflin did for the Phillies in 2022. But Ranger Suarez still is a starting pitcher. He still is a really good starting pitcher. That's where he's going to give you the most value for the bulk of this season. And honestly, it would kind of be a bad look in a contract year not to have him pitch out of the rotation for most of the season. So I think regardless of how Taijuan Walker's pitching, maybe you go to some sort of piggyback, which I think would make some sense, where when Ranger comes back, he's pitching 4 or 5 innings and Taijuan's pitching 2 or 3, something like that. So maybe there's a way to get him involved, keep him involved. But like John said, it's one start. It was a feel-good story. Taijuan Walker's a really hard worker, a good guy. I don't like to see anyone go through kind of what he went through last year, but it is going to take more than one start. And he gave up some hard contact in that start. I would just say we'll see on Taijuan Walker. I do think it's not insignificant that he's throwing much harder than last year, but that alone does not guarantee that he won't go out Wednesday and really struggle.
Durability with Ranger is something that concerns me. So if getting him to pitch less innings and coming out of the bullpen helps with his back issue, it might be worth it. I'm not sure.
I think what you can do is like there were times last April, and Rob Thompson has said this, where Ranger Suarez has pitched 6 shutout innings. He's only thrown 70 pitches, and they let him keep going. I think this year they'll just cut him off and say, have the bigger picture in mind, and people will be mad that night that are at the park that he didn't get to go for a complete game or whatever. But I mean, there's enough injury history now to say you need to manage him.
Tyler, any other stat that you have, and then Jeff, and then we'll ask the fun question of the day. You like that one?
Yeah. So one thing with the Braves coming up with Wheeler is Wheeler has a 2.24 ERA in 18 starts since joining the Phillies against the Braves, and he has been huge against the Braves. When it comes to the Braves, though, the rotation that they actually updated was Chris Sale, Grant Holmes, and then Spencer Schwellenbach. And Schwellenbach right now 0.8 BWAR on the season.
Schwellenbach, he's been having issues with his internet, so he sent me a text message. He was having issues. Jeff, you weren't going to mention something?
Just more on the Taijuan Walker situation. Like, as someone who follows the minor leagues pretty closely, like people have been texting me about Mick Abel and showing me some clips of Mick Abel over the last 2 starts he's had, and I'm kind of taking it with a grain of salt, just kind of like how I'm taking Taijuan Walker. Yeah, it's nice to see Mick Abel doing this. I hope he continues that because they're going to need starting pitching depth at some point this season. But I'm just not going to overreact to one start. I think it's great that Taijuan Walker was able to do that, and the 5th star spot wasn't a loss, and all the vitriol Taijuan Walker got last season. But yeah, I'm with John on this one. It's one start. Let's just hope he can get you through the month till Ranger Suarez comes back.
Okay, great. Last question that I have, which is the fun question. When do we believe Painter, Crawford, Miller, and Chassé will be wearing the Phillies uniform?
I have some good intel on these.
You got that. Let's start with you, Jeff. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we know Dave Dombrowski said probably all-star break for Andrew Painter in July. He's going to be pitching in Clearwater this week. It looks like he'll be in Reading by at least May. I think they're going to wait till the weather warms up there. Crawford, my bold prediction was this year.
So Painter in May at Reading.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And Crawford, my bold prediction was he was going to play center field at some time this year. And when he went to Lehigh, I think the clock was ticking. Aiden Miller, I think, will be in Reading most of the year. But if he hits like he did Friday night, he'll probably be in Lehigh sooner than we think. And Chassé, he hasn't even started a game for Reading yet. I think he's supposed to start either Tuesday or Wednesday. I think he's down in Reading for at least half to 3/4 of the year.
I like this kid Chassé. I mean, he was very, very impressive. I mean, in the spring breakout guys, I mean, he's a really, really impressive pitcher. I mean, he has a very heavy fastball. He's really good. I mean,
they are really monitoring his innings too, because I thought he was going to pitch this weekend, and they decided to go with Gene Cabrera, and they just wanted to give him a couple extra days, give him a bullpen session in there. They really want to stretch out his innings. I think they said they would like him to go 130 to 150, but there's not a concrete number there. But we'll see.
I mean, I gut feeling, John. Go ahead, John.
Club as a reliever.
Chase or
Chase.
Yeah, no, as a starter.
As a starter.
Yeah, they're keeping him as a starter at least for now.
Yeah, I wonder if his quickest path to the majors, given the Phillies' current roster construction, would be as a reliever. But if they're that high on him.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can always use starting pitching depth, and the guy's 21 years old, so he's got time. Guys in the bullpen, I'm looking at like stars that could convert to the bullpen. Griffin McGarry pitched well for Reading today, and he started. He went. I guess he's back to being a starter now. He had 8 strikeouts and 4 shutout innings. I think they could move Seth Johnson to the bullpen and Lehigh at some point. Max Lazar's another guy, but yeah, Chase, they're definitely looking at him as starter the whole way.
Yeah, I'm interested in Chase. I do agree with John. Like the quickest path, there's not really an obvious path unless there's multiple injuries for him to the majors as a starter this year. So maybe it's just that he's not at the majors this year. Andrew Painter, like Jeff said, they've said around July. That could mean June. That could mean August. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be pandemonium when he comes up because I think he is that good. I think he's the best prospect the Phillies have had at least since Cole Hamels, if not before that. So they're in a really good position with him, and you want to have him available in September and October. Justin Crawford, I know he's at AAA. I don't know how do you make him fit in the majors if you have Kepler and Marsh also on the team? Like, are you going to have Kepler and Marsh, who are both lefties that have not hit great against lefties historically, platoon in left field? Or are you going to have Crawford come up but not play every day? Like, it's a bit of an awkward fit on this current team. I think next season he's going to be a starter. It wouldn't shock me if this year it's more like he's up in September, but not really like at a focal point of the team.
I mean, that's what March, I think, is on the clock, right? He needs to prove himself in order. If not, you have the possibility of Crawford. Crawford is working on his swing to try to hit it, not hit so many ground balls, and it's something that he continues to evolve on, and it's something that we need to monitor. But I agree with you. I mean, the big guy this year is Painter. I can't wait till this kid. I was in spring training, and he threw a live batting practice to Baum. He struck out Baum, and then he had Bryson Stott and March were hitting against him, and then Bryson Stott got a base hit toward left field, but that was the only one that touched the ball. And I talked to Marchand, that was his catcher, and he said he told me his fastball is A++. I mean, that fastball, the high fastball he has, the rising fastball is the real deal. So I mean,
three years ago, I saw Andy Painter in Reading. He would only pitch. But by the way, Tim, that's the answer to what we were talking about today about how he only has pictures in hot dogs uniforms, because that's when he pitched. I remember he pitched 5 starts. I saw 3 of them. He struck out 37 and walked 2. And his velocity on his pitches was like 98, 99. He was 19 years old. I'm like, this kid's going to be in the major leagues like next year, like early next year. And unfortunately, he had the Tommy John issue. But I agree with you, Tim. I'm so excited for him when he comes up. I'm excited for him to go back to Reading, excited for him to see in Lehigh, and excited to see how quick that clock actually is.
Yeah, I can tell you this. There's not many prospects that have me seeking out links and trying to find streams for Arizona Fall League games, which Painter absolutely did.
He dealed too.
This offseason, and he did.
Yeah,
he was
somebody, I retweeted, I think, when he pitched somewhere, and some guy like blocked me because I was retweeting his stuff. And the guy's so good. I mean, it's that good. I mean, he was the pitcher of the year in the Fall League. So look, he's coming to Philly. I can't wait to see it. What do you think is going to happen to the starting rotation when he comes up? He's going to pitch about 100 innings. I mean, that's the plan, I think.
He's definitely going to be in the starting rotation when he comes up. I think you could go sort of 6-man, but still kind of find a way to keep Wheeler every 5 days. You could also kind of piggyback 2 guys, and we're assuming all 6 guys are going to be healthy. So that's a problem you worry about. You cross that bridge when you get there, I think.
That's a good problem to have.
Right. I think there's a point in the season where it's going to make sense to put Ranger Suarez in the bullpen. There may be a point in the season late, like the playoffs, where it makes sense to also have Andrew Painter in the bullpen. So that's where it'll be interesting this summer. Clearly, as constructed right now, this cannot be the final bullpen for the Phillies in the playoffs. But you want to leave a little room open to maybe move Ranger Suarez there, maybe move Ranger Suarez and Andrew Painter there at some point. So how aggressive do you get in trades? Do you make a big trade, relatively big trade, like you did last year with Carlos Estevez, or do you kind of count on some of the internal guys you have moving from the rotation to the bullpen being your big pickups out there?
And again, look, a lot is going to depend on what happens over the next few weeks with Romano and what type of Romano we're going to get and the health. I mean, I think the other big piece is health, right? I mean, Luzardo and Ranger have had back health issues in the past. I mean, Luzardo looks outstanding right now. And he basically said it. I mean, when I interviewed him after the game, he basically said the other day, look, health is the most important thing. I'm healthy right now. I have never felt this good. And look, in this team, he's 2-0, and he looks really, really good. So
and health killed this team. Like everybody goes, well, this team only played 500 since X day or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, they were so beat up in the lineup in the starting rotation. Like we didn't even know who their fifth starter was.
First half Ranger, and then second half Ranger battling the injuries. I mean, in the first half, we thought we had a Cy Young candidate. So yeah, health is always going to be paramount. I think that's also a reason why, when you're trying to project very far into the season, it's tough to really see. Okay, here's how the pieces are going to fit as guys come up. I think you just get everybody clicking as much as you can, and then you make those decisions when the time comes, and you assess who you have at that point.
So the final part, kind of before we leave, because we're trying to make this an hour show. So we played 3 games in Atlanta starting Tuesday: Wheeler versus Sale, Taiwan Walker against Swollenback, and then Luzardo versus Smith Schweibert. That game is on Thursday. Then we go Friday to St. Louis. Is Nola pitching? St. Louis have not announced a pitcher yet. Then it would be Saturday and Sunday would be Sanchez versus Mikolas, and then Wheeler versus Liberator that is pitching much better this year. And then we have a 4-game series. They come home, and then we have without a break, we play Monday. In San Francisco comes to town, and it's Walker against Roop, and then Luzardo against Verlander is supposed to be the game on Tuesday, the 17th. So look, they're not going to have a break over the next after tomorrow. They're not going to have a break for about a good 10 days to 10 to 12 days. So it'll be very, very interesting how our pitching staff holds up and how we make it happen. Anything that you're looking for the next week or so, Tim? We go around the table and then we close the show.
Yeah, I think you got to win a few more games going away. It's going to be tough in Atlanta. That's a series. If you win 2 out of 3 with those matchups, I think you feel pretty good. St. Louis is a team you should at least win the series against. So I think if you go 3-3, 4-2 on the road trip, you're in a pretty good spot, especially with how well they've played at home so far.
How about you, John?
Yeah, just looking forward to seeing if they can keep winning series. Take 2 out of 3 out of Atlanta. Take 2 out of 3 out of the Cardinals, and you're feeling good. I would say one thing specifically I'd like to see. We touched on it earlier. More Walker. See, is he for real? Because really, we just don't know yet.
Atlanta, what is it? 1-8. Is that the record right now?
That's the record right now.
Amazing, amazing. I mean,
they're not hitting at all.
They're not hitting at all, and it was interesting because the guy from the broadcaster from the Dodgers told me, I feel there's something going on inside that locker room, that inside the clubhouse. I mean, I'm not sure what that is, but it's something to monitor because they have. I mean, there's no doubt they have significant talent, and Tim, as you said, they got bad luck. I mean, with the draw they look, I mean, between San Diego and the Dodgers to start the season. I mean, by the way, they went from, what is it, Northport that they play? They went to Arizona to play 2 games against Chicago. and then they went up to San Diego, and then LA, and then they came back to Atlanta. They won the first game, lost the second one, and then today the game was postponed. So it'll be very, very interesting. We have Alex Santiago, our producer, behind the scenes. He's doing a tremendous job. Alex, thank you so much, man. Thank you for always being there for us. And then, Tim, John, Jeff, any final words before we close it for the week?
And I just want to see this team. I want to see how they do against Chris Sale. I know it's going to be really tough, but just against left-handed pitching in general, I want to see if, Rob Thompson can kind of, if he changes his lineup around or not. I know that was like the big thing coming into the year, but right now, I just want to see how this team does against lefties. I want to see them continue to take pitches, continue to take walks, and we know the offense hasn't been hitting the way they're capable of, but they've been doing a good enough job.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, guys, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for the time. Tim is going to be on CBS tonight, so
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's going to be in CBS tonight, so go watch him. And again, thank you. We cannot thank you enough for being with us tonight. And look, we have 1,700 people right now on the podcast, so it's truly amazing. I mean, we're thankful. We're thankful for each of you. Have a wonderful. We love that we're all Phils fans, and let's go Phils. Let's make this happen. So thank you so much.
John, once again, thank you, buddy.
Take care, guys. Have a wonderful week.
Lanzamiento, aquí viene un batazo de Mundito entre right center field, la bola pica, se extiende, viene anotando Scott, empata el juego, también manda para la bola Turner anota y los Phillies se van arriba. Se prepara, Mundito en segunda, el lanzamiento, batazo profundo para el center field, la bola se va, Schwarber Bob, ¡campanazo! Aquí viene el lanzamiento. Swing y lo ponchó.